Welcome to Conversations Different, a podcast from the Santa Fe New Mexican, focusing on the interesting people, places, and issues of northern New Mexico. This is host Inez Russell Gomez, and this week we are focusing on recycling, how all of us can do our parts to keep trash out of the landfill. Our guest this week is Peter Olson with the City of Santa Fe Environmental Services Department. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
First, tell us what your job is in environmental services. What is the outreach director?
Basically, I'm the marketing person. I tell people or share with people how they can be more effective in recycling, putting their trash out, how they can be more sustainable in their everyday life, make our world a little bit nicer, a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, it seems like since the big companies aren't going to change how they package perhaps as much as they need to, it's going to be up to us little people to make some changes in how we purchase and what we do with our trash after we're done.
Yeah, actually, we as consumers do have a big impact on what producers, big companies, how they do package things. And if we buy things with fewer plastic packaging, without plastic bags, without buying single-use plastic bottles, for example, we can change the way big companies package their stuff. And we do see it. It's subtle, but we do see that we do have a big impact. So I tell people, especially my wife, when we go to the grocery store, when we're buying potatoes or onions or whatever, don't get the little flimsy plastic bag. Just put it right into your reusable bag that you can get for free from me.
That's right. And she has a direct line.
Direct line. We have 1 million of them in our back of our car. But you can get them for free, too, at our office on 1142 Siler Road. But just put your potatoes in the bottom of the bag because you don't need them in that plastic bag. And that plastic bag, once you get it home, goes straight into the garbage anyway, or floats around in the air if it falls out of the truck.
That's right. Yeah, I always just leave mine loose and then put them in my grocery bag when I'm done.
Right.
Because I realized a long time ago I didn't want that many plastic bags. Although some people say they reuse them, like for dog poop bags and different things, so they at least aren't single use, but they're still gonna take forever to biodegrade.
So I've hinted at the 3 R's that I like to preach: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce is don't take it in the first place.
That's right.
Reuse is what you just mentioned by, picking up dog poop, which everybody should be doing if they have a dog that they're walking in the parks or the arroyos or whatever. So that's a reuse thing. And then recycle, obviously, we can talk about that too. So those are the 3 things that I think we can easily do as people, as citizens of this city, and to make our world a little bit nicer: reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Yeah, we were in favor of the plastic bag ban when it happened, as much as anything to reduce trash on the walls. Because if you ever went anywhere in Santa Fe, there would be plastic bags in trees, there would be plastic bags on chain link fences. Yep. And I think that has definitely gone down.
Right. It has gone down quite a bit. And that was one of the big factors for that ordinance that we have in our city. So it has made a difference. I mean, we obviously still have ways to go because
people are messy.
Yeah, we see litter, but it has made a big difference. And I think it's, I don't like to see those bags stuck on the choyas or the branches of the trees or in the chain link fences. And we know here it gets windy in the spring and those things get stuck. And
yeah, it's a mess. And it seems like there was a lot of emphasis on which helps the environment more, because a reusable bag sometimes supposedly takes more water to make, or it takes you 10 shopping trips to, get rid of one paper bag. They have all these weird little measures, which I think are mainly funded by plastic companies that want to keep making plastic bags. But reducing trash is just a good reason, whatever other reasons you have.
Yeah, reducing trash is obviously a really good goal for all of us to do. And our bags that we have, those bags you were talking about, it has a BYOB on the side. It means bring your own bag.
Nice.
And they're really durable. They're really sturdy. We get them from China, and they're made from our trash that we send to China. It turns the plastic bottles into those bags, and they come back to us.
So those are Santa Fe bottles that become the bags, or
It may
just
not necessarily be Santa Fe bottles, but it is
recycled plastic.
Recycled plastic from the United States that we ship to China.
Because that was one of the problems with recycling, is that China quit taking as much of our trash.
Right.
But at least they're taking these bottles to reuse.
Plastic is a very easy thing to recycle. And we do, in Santa Fe, we send our plastic mainly to California, and they get turned into car parts or lawn chairs or toys or things like that. So we do have a market. It is a commodity that we collect, and we do sell these big, giant bundles of plastic bottles to companies that recycle it.
Oh, that's good to know, because there was how it's not even rumors, but there were reports that we weren't able to recycle our recycling.
Right.
But that's actually happening. So what happens to the cardboard?
Cardboard is another really good, easy thing to recycle that gets turned into other paper products. Newspapers are really good things to recycle. So you read it in the morning, you read it the next day, and then you recycle it.
That's right. Or you use it as a fish litter, or a cat litter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we buy a lot of recycled newsprint here. So that's one of the things that Robin, our owner, is really intent on, is to make sure we can recycle and that we use recycled paper as well.
And when you use specific inks too, like soy-based inks, it's easy to turn that newspaper into newsprint that you can reuse again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what she does. She's very frugal, and she likes things to be used more than once. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Now, glass is a different story. It can't go into our bins. You have to take it yourself.
Right.
But that's made into pellets. Is that right?
It gets broken up into small pieces. And glass is another thing that's really easy to recycle. The transportation cost for glass is really high right now, but we do take our glass to, for example, Colorado, and they get turned into Coors beer bottles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So of the things that we can recycle in Santa Fe, the things that you put in your blue bin, paper, cardboard, aluminum and steel cans, plastic bottles, those are the easiest things to recycle. And those are commodities that we can sell or recycle very easily into other more, different things. Car parts, like I mentioned before, or lawn furniture is another example of a company that we sell to, and they make it into that. So.
Oh, it's good to know. We'll take a quick break and be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
If you're considering going solar but aren't sure who to speak with for accurate information, avoid the high-pressured sales and receive a hassle-free experience. Contact Positive Energy Solar today. Positive Energy is your local, trusted, and employee-owned solar experts that have been helping New Mexicans live more sustainably since 1997. Go solar with confidence. Schedule your free, no-obligation solar evaluation at positiveenergysolar.com.
Generate positive energy. Positive Energy Solar.
We are back with Conversations Different, talking to Peter Olson about how to recycle better. Let's talk for a minute, just to kind of set the table. How does Santa Fe recycle? You mentioned the blue bins. So we have our green trash cans, which is where our household waste goes, or our business waste. Yep. And then there are blue recycling bins. And what goes in those?
So your blue carts are for recycling, and that's where you put your plastic bottles or jugs, cartons like milk cartons or juice cartons or your coffee creamer cartons.
And those have to be rinsed out?
They don't necessarily have to be rinsed out. It's best if you don't have, big chunks of food in them.
Okay.
But you don't have to wash them out. And, like we used to do in the old days, you can rinse them out or dump them out, and that's good. Newspaper, cardboard, those go into your blue carts.
Can your junk mail go in?
Here's a rule of thumb. If it has a window, like the film, no.
Okay.
Bubble wrap, no. Styrofoam, no. But if it's bigger than a postcard, yes.
Okay, so littler ones will get stuck maybe in the machines?
Yes, and we'll talk about how we process the recycling. But so those are the things that we recycle right now. You can't put glass in your cart, but you can put cardboard, newspaper, other paper, white paper, cans, cartons, plastic jugs, and bottles. And
So if
those
you
are
drink a
really
lot
good
of
things.
beer, you should recycle them in your, or sodas. It doesn't have to be
Yes,
beer.
right,
Yeah.
cans. And aluminum cans are another thing that are really easy to recycle. They get turned into more aluminum cans, and so
And reuse. Now, should you smash them or should you just throw
it
them
doesn't
in?
matter because they will get compacted into big pellets, into big bales that weigh as much as your car.
Oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. I know at the Food Depot, they're always using boxes because this food that they're putting into sacks for people comes in boxes. And one of the fun jobs was to be the box compactor. You like your cardboard compacted better.
Yes, it's better if you collapse your boxes,
Right.
Because it's easier to process then. And when we talk about processing our recycling, the big trucks, they pick up your stuff, they bring it to the transfer station at Burt, and they dump it on the floor, this big open floor. If you've ever been in the transfer station, the recycling trucks go in there, and on the far side from where you park, you'll see this 2-story like conveyor belt contraption.
Yes.
And underneath it is the piles of all the recycled material that is collected from residential. And the big earth movers push it around and they sort it a little bit, and it gets sucked up in the conveyor belt. And inside the second floor is a conveyor belt with people, actual human beings, sorting everything by hand.
Oh my goodness. They must have, do they have to wear like spacesuits or something?
No, they don't, but they do have gloves and protective gear.
Good.
And so that's why we have very specific things that we can recycle, cans and
Because you have
paper.
people.
We have people sorting it. And that conveyor belt, if things get stuck in there and it breaks down or stops or clogs, then our recycling stops and clogs. And if the recycling gets contaminated, for example, somebody puts garbage
In the recycling.
that can contaminate the whole load, and then it's pushed into the compactor and taken to the landfill. So it takes a very expensive route to the landfill, and we lose all of that recycling material.
Which could be potential revenue.
Right.
So what are the biggest mistakes that people make in Santa Fe?
You put things that are what we call tanglers, like Christmas lights or anything with an extension cord or hoses, because that really tangles up
Okay.
the equipment. People wonder if they can put styrofoam in because styrofoam is recyclable. We can't do it.
Okay,
because
so
of
not
it.
here.
Yeah, and batteries are also another thing that people put in. They are recyclable, but we can't do it. We're not set up to that. We do collect them. But you have to
take it to a different place.
Right.
There's a.
Yeah.
Is that the place where they take the electronics as well?
Electronics and household hazardous waste. Yeah. So
I have much of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paint and whatever chemicals from under your sink.
What about shiny cardboard, like your pizza box or that kind of thing?
Pizza boxes are okay, and they don't have to be pristine.
Okay.
As they used to be, but you don't want to leave pizza in there.
Okay. Okay.
But if there's a little bit of cheese stuck to the top, that's okay.
Oh, good.
They can
That's
deal
good
with
to
that.
know.
Yeah.
So contaminated recycling is a bad thing. What about hard plastics? Because I know things will have a number and it says it's recyclable, but is it really?
That will be sorted. It's really hard to tell people to look at the numbers and to keep track. If it's plastic, I say put it in there, and then when it gets to the factory, they can sort it.
Okay.
Depending on their needs, because it gets sorted there anyway. Different things like the single-use water bottles are a different kind of plastic than like your laundry detergent jug. And they get
I
separate.
quit recycling my laundry detergent jug because I thought it was too thick.
No.
So I can redo it.
Yep.
Okay.
Put it in your blue cart and it will get turned into something else.
I was getting the paper sheets for laundry, and then I listened to a podcast that said it's like washing your clothes in water. And then I quit using Amazon completely, and I don't like to go to a bunch of stores, and they don't have them at the store I go to. So I'm going to have to make a stop at Natural Grocers or one of those to get them again. Mm-hmm. But until then, I've just been using the free and clear thing. But so I can recycle it. That's good. Yeah. I was deplasticizing my house, and I'd made a really good effort. And then I quit ordering things online at all. So now it's harder because regular stores sometimes don't have those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are places where you can buy things in bulk if you have a container already.
Yes.
That you're going to reuse. You can just go and fill up.
Yeah. Because we have a soap refiller store here.
Yeah. So places like that where you can get your shampoo refilled or whatever, if you want to reuse your bottle. Even if you use it 1 or 2 or 3 times more, that takes 2 or 3 bottles out of circulation that you might have put
that makes
out
sense.
there.
It's funny when you're used to buying certain things, it's very hard to switch. But when you reduce, like I had so much more space in my cabinet because I had no plastic things, and now it's back. So I've got to start going to different stores. Yeah.
It does take effort, but
it does.
If everybody does a little bit, I mean, you don't have to be full on, eco-terrorist recycle person. But every little bit helps.
That's right. No, and like I always say, I've never flown to China, so I am forgiven.
Yeah.
Many plastic bottles, because there's so many ways of using resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and we all have to do our part.
Yeah, and in Santa Fe, there are people that are very interested in doing the right thing and recycling every possible thing, and we are not set up to recycle every possible thing. We can collect it for you, but oftentimes it ends up in the landfill if it's something that we can't recycle. And I call that person a wishful recycler.
Right.
And oftentimes that contaminates the things that we can use. So like, well, in California, we can recycle batteries. We just put them, but we can't here.
Yeah. And you have to know the rules of where you are. Yeah.
And we have a very nice tool. It's called Recycle Coach. And there's a What Goes Where tool on Recycle Coach app, which is free. And if you live in the city limits, you can put your address in there and it'll tell you what your collection days are. And if there's, weather interruption or some other issue, holiday changes, schedule changes, we can send messages through that app. But you can also look on there and say, hey, where do light bulbs go?
Right.
And it'll tell you on that app.
Oh, that's good to know. We'll be back in a moment with more Conversations Different.
This is Patrick Dorsey, publisher of the Santa Fe New Mexican. Looking to reach a wider audience and grow your business? For 175 years, the Santa Fe New Mexican has been the trusted voice of Santa Fe, with unmatched local reach in print and online. In addition to our long-standing, independent, family-owned newspaper, we have a full-fledged marketing team with the expertise to help you succeed in the 21st century. From traditional print to precision-targeted digital advertising, we have the tools to connect you with your ideal customers. Partner with us and see the results for yourself. Advertise with the Santa Fe New Mexican and unlock your business's full potential. Visit us at santafenewmexican.com/advertising or call us at 505-995-3852. Thank you.
Welcome back to Conversations Different. We're discussing how we can all be better recyclers with Peter Olson. Peter, what do you tell people who maybe haven't recycled before? Because as many people do recycle, we still have some holdouts probably.
Yeah, and we make it as easy as possible for people. If you live in an apartment, it's a little more difficult because you've got all your neighbors around you and there might not be as much. But if you live in a home or on a street and you want a recycle cart, let us know. We'll get you a recycle cart, the blue bin, and you roll it out with your trash every week. And you don't need to bag it. In fact, you shouldn't bag your trash or your recycling. It goes in there. You just dump your newspapers, your bottles, your plastic bottles, your cans. It all just goes in there loose.
Okay.
And
what about paper sacks? Can you recycle them?
yes, but don't put your newspapers in them.
Okay.
So treat it as a single piece of paper.
Okay, so
Fold
just
it up and
fold it up,
yeah.
put it in separately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's
So-
good to know.
Because, as we mentioned, there are actual people sorting, and so it makes it easier if each piece is separate.
Okay, so you don't have to dump the bag
Right,
and then
yeah.
flatten it.
Or, if you put cans in a paper bag, then you have to separate the cans from the paper. And
One of the things, so the New Mexican, of course, used to be in its office building over on Marcy Street that we now rent. And we are in a suite of offices in a building owned by somebody. We don't have recycling here. So how does that work with all the offices and things like that? How do they recycle?
the owner of the building can get a recycling account and set that up. We have a number of options, dumpsters and roll-off carts and things like that. You can have recycling and trash. You can get that. So if you want, as a business renting from somebody that owns a building, you can say, hey, building management, we'd like to recycle. What can you do for us? And they can figure it out.
I'll tell them. I know what we do now is we have our recycling bins for our newspapers and for plastic bottles, and then our building manager walks it over, and we just recycle with a New Mexican. So we're still recycling. And I was a city editor when one of our reporters basically complained every day for I don't know how long to get recycling set up at the New Mexican.
Yeah.
So Sharon Opsatz, you are the person who did it. Yeah. And it was kind of annoying at the time because, it's like I wanted my story. I didn't want to talk to her about how we didn't have recycling, but she kept going, and we got it set up.
Great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And we have a lot, with newspapers, there's a lot to recycle.
Right. Yeah. Any office has lots of paper to recycle.
Yes.
And, in our office, we bought these tiny little, about 6-inch square trash containers that fit on the larger recycling containers. So it encourages people to recycle more because if you don't have a lot of capacity for trash at your desk side, so you have much more capacity for recycling.
Oh, that's smart. So you have little trash cans and big recycling bins.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, the janitorial staff or the people sitting at the desk empty those into bigger containers that are in a common area like the break room or something like that. And it's a very easy way to be mindful of what you're throwing away and what you're recycling.
Yeah. One of the things that's hard at home is that we have a trash can. We don't have a recycling can. And I used to have it on the front porch, and then we'd empty it, and then it got there was too many leaks on it or something. We got ants. So now we just have to walk it out.
Right.
But the bin's very close.
Yeah.
But I think they should make more trash cans with two sides.
Yeah. Well, ours are separate. You can take them apart. So,
Oh, nice. Are those available like individually, or is it like a business kind of
we
thing?
bought them somewhere. Hundreds of them
Yes.
to distribute. But I think there's lots of options. My recycling at my home is a woven basket that I keep underneath the shelf.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And, I don't put things in there that are sloppy or messy. I leave the caps on.
Okay.
Of my,
I was going to ask about that.
My bottles and jugs. That way nothing will leak out. Cartons, I leave the caps on if they have caps, and then, empty it every other day or something into the blue bin outside. So
That's a good one. That was basically what I had on the porch was a woven basket, but it did leak, so it did not work out. But anyway, the hard part about glass is when you take it, it's heavy.
Yes.
And to be honest, the recycling centers have not been so neat. I don't know if those are neater now than they used to be.
It's a challenge to keep them. We've actually started a program where we're going to have to lock gates at night to keep people from dumping trash and
Right.
other things. So The glass that we collect is bottles.
Right.
It's not plate glass. It's not mirrors. It's not windows. We can't recycle that glass.
Right.
It's just bottles. And so,
That's right. And you can tell when people have been drinking a lot.
lots of, you can tell the very popular wine bottles.
That's right. And New Year's parties
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just bottles. And you're going to lock it so it'll stay a little neater, perhaps.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I don't understand why people are so messy. That's been a real disappointment because you think if you're going to recycle, you're not a pig. But
I think the people that are trashing the drop-off sites don't have regular trash collection. And so they're using it for like construction material or furniture or old TVs.
Yes.
Those kinds of things that should not go to the drop-off centers. And we have 3. One of them's near the intersection of Siler and Agua Fria.
Right.
Just a little bit west on Agua Fria. There's another one on Lucia Lane behind Garcia Tire
Yep,
off
I have
Airport
found that
Road.
one.
And then the third is right at the entrance to Burt, the
Right.
transfer station.
is there not one at Fort Marcy anymore?
No.
Okay, so that
yeah.
the noise was it noise complaints finally?
I'm not sure what happened, but I think that there were
The neighbors did not like it.
neighbor complaints.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It
funny.
makes a lot of noise when you dump a whole box full of bottles in the.
We actually went and stood there to see if it was that noisy, and then went kind of far away, and it was not that noisy. But you know that's
Yeah.
and it's funny because a lot of the people there might be hard of hearing.
Yeah.
Considering their advanced years.
Well, we try to make recycling
Available in our parts of town too.
as accessible and easy
Yes.
and attractive as possible. And you know, if people are complaining about it, it might not lend itself very well to.
Yeah, but now they have to drive
Yeah.
pretty far if they
Yeah.
want to get rid of their bottles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we tried it out because we had gotten complaints, and you know, Robin, the owner, is very curious about these things, and we went, and it was not that. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Lucia Lane is an interesting one because that's so hidden. People
Right.
dump their couches.
Right.
Every time I've gone there, I've seen furniture.
And construction waste, you know, somebody's remodeling and you find all the broken boards and. with
Do you
nails.
have cameras?
We do. In some cases, we do.
Yeah.
We've brought in one of those mobile trailer things
Oh, smart.
with the camera on it, the police department, because it was getting really bad.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, and the one on Siler you'd think would be nice because, you know, it's kind of by the trash
Right.
location. It's,
Yeah.
it's not that far from your offices.
Right.
And that one can just be ridiculous.
Yeah. A friend of mine was dropping off some glass there, and the car in front of him opened the back of the hatchback of his SUV and like dumped out 3 TVs on the ground and just drove off.
Oh, what a jerk.
He got a picture of him.
That's smart. I was going to say, you get a picture of the
Yeah.
license. That's
Yeah.
all you can do.
Yep.
Yeah. One of the things that I used to tell my son when he was little is we can't fix everything in the world, but you can always pick up your own trash.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe if everybody did that, so many problems that we have would go away.
Yeah. And we've done over the last couple of years a campaign called 2 on Tuesday, where you pick up 2 pieces or 2 handfuls or 2 bagfuls or 2 truckfuls of
Right.
trash on your way. Instead of stepping over it on the street,
You pick it up.
just pick it up. And that goes a long way. Especially if somebody sees you doing that, it's like, oh yeah, I should do that too. And
That's right. And if people don't do it to begin with, and you prevent the littering,
Right.
just
Yep.
think about that's what I hope the new Breaking Bad Habits campaign does
Right.
is really focus on not littering
Yeah.
and change the mindset that we can just throw our trash wherever.
yeah,
That's gonna. Are you guys gonna partner with the state for that in some ways, or
that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
We have not been approached, but we're willing, ready, able.
according to the governor, she is out picking up trash and sends her staff to do the same.
Good.
So that's she's an example for all of us, I
Yep,
guess.
yep.
Yeah. So is there any like one thing that people could do better from a recycling standpoint?
Do it every day. Do it more often. Think about getting the Recycle Coach app, and if you're wondering, can this go in the blue cart or not? The app will help you figure it out. But if you just stick to the basics, cardboard, newspaper, white paper, cans, plastic jugs, much better off than that. And, the three things I talked about, the 3 R's that we like to preach, is reduce, reuse, and recycle. If you keep that in mind when you're out shopping, instead of buying a 24-pack of single-use water bottles, if you need to buy water, buy gallon jugs and use reusable water bottles for your personal use. It's much more economical, and those larger plastic bottles will last longer. You can reuse them.
That's right, because using the single use, it has some germs potential.
And they're crinkly and they collapse, and once you drink your water, you throw it away. And so those water bottles, in fact, I've been trying to get the city, when we have conferences, to not provide single-use water bottles.
Right.
If you're going to have a big conference, buy them their own reusable water bottles.
Like Folk Art Market, I guess, provides water stations.
Yeah.
Instead of
in
bottles.
Zozobra, we started providing glasses and little cups instead of single-use water bottles.
Yeah. And some places are banning them altogether. I mean, now that we're all into culture war issues, that's probably not going to happen for a while. But that's, it's the same with plastic straws. Is things that you're going to throw away, you get rid of.
Right.
And you provide other ways, because I know sometimes people with disabilities need straws,
Right. Yeah. So when you're shopping, when you're out consuming, buying things for your family that you need, think about how you can reduce the amount of packaging.
Right.
Cardboard packaging is better than plastic packaging. No packaging is better than
cardboard
plastic.
packaging.
Yeah, whatever. So
that makes sense. Yeah. I gave up my Prime subscription because I want to buy more locally and I don't want to enrich billionaires and all of that stuff. And my son is like, look, we have no recycling because we had no boxes.
Yeah.
And it made a huge, huge difference. So that's been interesting just to see in your own life, like what one change can make.
A little change made a big difference for you.
Yeah. It did. It did. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all the tips. And how much trash are we getting out of the landfill?
That's a good question. I don't have the latest figures on that. I don't deal directly with that.
Right.
But it is significant.
It's a bunch.
It does make a big difference.
Good. Yeah. All right. On that note, this has been another Conversations Different. We'll be back next week. Thank you for listening to Conversations Different, hosted by me, Inez Russell Gomez, editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our weekly episodes would not be possible without your support. We hope you enjoy them and keep listening. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Consider signing up for our newsletter so you never miss an episode, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the Santa Fe New Mexican. Our podcast is available by visiting our website, santaFeNewMexican.com/podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Conversations Different with Inez Russell Gomez is produced by Matt Dalside and Ernesto Cisneros, published by the Santa Fe New Mexican, a local and independent newspaper owned by Robin Martin.